Our speaker today has spent a lifetime researching and collecting the most effective practices and tools designed to manage stress. Today, she's excited to educate, energize, and inspire you to conquer stress and let your personal brilliance shine.
Stress. It's known as the silent killer. Some of you might be saying, okay, that's just a little bit too dramatic. And yet, according to the Centers for Disease Control, 110 million people die every year directly as a result due to stress. Now, to help us get our head around that number a little bit, just think for a minute. That means every 2 seconds, 1, 2, another 7 people have died due to stress. That's a lot. We also know, according to the American Psychological Association, that not a lot of us do things to help manage our stress. In fact, half of us only do about 2 things every month. I was in that statistic about 12 years ago. I was not doing anything to deal with stress because, quite frankly, I had no time. I had a booming business, which meant I was traveling about 75% of the time. I had 3 children who were young teens, young adults, helping them fly off out of the nest. My husband was in the building industry, and if you remember about 12 years ago, we were in a recession that hit the building industry particularly hard. And not only that, my mother was recently diagnosed with dementia. I had a lot on my plate. There was no time to do anything. Luckily, we're not just a head, but we're also attached to a body. And my body started to speak to me. My body started to have weird aches and pains. My wrists started to hurt. My knees would hurt. My ankles would hurt. It was pretty bizarre. I ignored it, and then when it wouldn't let me ignore it anymore, well, I just decided to self-medicate and prescribe some wonderful braces for my wrist, all kinds of ergonomically correct paraphernalia to help me with my aches and pains. And what really got my attention was when I could no longer sleep any longer than 30 minutes at a time. I'd have to get up, and the pain was so bad I couldn't wait till my next dose of ibuprofen or Advil or whatever it was that could relieve my pain. So I finally went to the doctor. Long story short, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, with rheumatoid arthritis, which is a genetic disease. However, there isn't any sign of that in my family that I knew of. Probably induced by stress, yes, genetically there, but because I wasn't taking care of myself and because of the stress I was living under, perfect environment for it to ignite. I fell into the statistic when I went to the doctor that maybe some of you can relate to. Up to 90% of doctor visits are due to stress. 90%. So yes, I went to the doctor. As I said, I was diagnosed. And the first thing I said was, "No drugs, doc." When I saw my rheumatologist, "I don't do drugs." He said, "That is just fine, Jane. It is your choice. What I want you to know, though, is that joint pain will finally disfigure your joints, and that will never go away." I said, "Okay, doc, give me all the drugs you can." So I went on a regimen of different drugs. It took about 3 years to figure out what was working, and things calmed down for me, but not really. And it wasn't until I was sitting with my mother in her hospice room, where we sang, we read the Bible, we chatted, we laughed, and I just sat quiet, that there was another voice that came to me and said, "Jane, what the heck are you doing? Time to figure this out. You can't keep going at this pace. Look at your mom. Life has an end, and this isn't the way you want to be living it in the middle." So I started researching, and I came up with a lot of different tools. The first stop in my research was the field of positive psychology. And in that field, there's a lot of studies that have been done, about 200 independent different studies with 275,000 people. And it all comes back to the same result, the 3-to-1 positivity ratio. For every 4 thoughts, actions, things you say to each other, 3 need to be positive and 1 can be not so positive. Now remember, I didn't say 4 positive. We need to be realistic. Sometimes things just are lousy and we can call it out. But 3 of them need to be positive. And I realized, I don't know if any of you are Saturday Night Live fans or were back in the day. Remember Debbie Downer? And what a beautiful fall day. Yeah, I know, but it's rained a lot. Now, I don't know that the sunshine is really going to help the flooding. You know, and that's what I was like. I realized that. So I started finding tools to become more positive, because positivity has a lot of benefits. In fact, it enhances your immune system. You have fewer colds. You sleep better. Better relationships at work and at home. More creativity. That's pretty good stuff. I'm all in if I can sleep better, if I have an enhanced immune system. So it's really important for us to think about how to be more positive. And I started gathering tools. In fact, I came up with about 31 tools. And I started sharing them with my audiences, and they liked it. And then I thought, this is too random. I just had a list, literally, like 2 sides of a paper, little bullet points. And I thought, how can I put this together in such a way that people can remember, so we can think about what to do, so we can make a difference, so not only I can manage my stress, but you can manage your stress. And guess what happens when you manage your stress? You build your brilliance. My family is in the building industry, so I thought, they build structures, why don't I build people? And we both build houses. Let's put it in a house. So you have in front of you a little worksheet. On one side is a blank house that you can write and put notes in if you want, and the other side are just the key points for each room. And each room has an important item for us to remember to build our brilliance. The bottom of the house is the foundation. Every house needs a strong foundation. The most key important part of the foundation, well, there's 2. One is to know yourself. Know your strengths. Know your learning styles. Know your personality. Know your journey. So many people don't think about this wonderful journey that they've been on so far in their life. Good, bad, or indifferent. What are the stories that you're telling yourself about your journey? Are you spinning it good, or are you spinning it lousy? It makes a difference how you spin your journey story.